All right, this video is going to go over inverse functions and how to solve them. Basically, inverse function works by switching x and y and then solving. I guess I can just say solve. Solve for y equals. So let me show you what I mean. First of all, you have to realize that f of x here basically means y, all right? So when I say switch x and y, that's what you're going to change. So on this first one, it's like it says y equals 2x minus 3. Switch the letters x and y. So now x is over here and y is over here. So that's your first step. Now you need to solve this for y equals. So it helps to be really good at solving equations when you do this, but I'm not going to show you all my work for all of these, but I'll show you for the first one. When I say solving equations, this is what I mean. Basically, you're trying to isolate this letter y. So you would add 3 first here. So I've got x plus 3 now equals just 2y. And then you would want to divide by 2. So when it's all said and done, basically you say y prime, or sometimes you'll see like y negative 1, that means inverse, is equal to whatever was left after you were done solving for y, so x plus 3 over 2. Now on linear functions, they might break this fraction apart. You can break this like this and put it x over 2 plus 3 over 2. So be advised, you might see something like this. Green is the same as red there. These are the equivalent of each other. Okay, the next one would be a root. Roots aren't that bad. Basically start out the same way, so switch x and y, so now it's root y minus 1. You cannot touch this minus 1 yet. You can't add 1 there. You have to cancel the root first. So you're going to cancel this root by squaring the functions. So now it's going to be x squared on the left side. Then on the right side, the root and the square cancel each other out, and it just leaves y minus 1. And so now you can just go and add 1. So you get x squared plus 1. So my answer here, y to the negative 1, the inverse would be x squared plus 1, like that. Next one's a cubic, and it's kind of similar to a quadratic or a root even. Basically, you're trying to, we'll go ahead and start with switching. So x equals 5y cubed minus 2. Now you want to solve this for the letter y, so your first move is to add 2. I guess I will show you all my work. Add 2, so x plus 2 now equals 5y cubed. You still can't touch that cubed yet though. You have to divide by 5 first. So now it looks like x plus 2 all over 5. And again, remember, you can break that up if you wanted to, but that equals y cubed. Now to cancel a cube, you have to cube root it, like so. So my answer here would be, my inverse is the cube root of x plus 2 over 5, like that. Next one's a quadratic. So switch your x and your y. You want to cancel that square, but you can't until you get rid of this minus 2. So add 2. All right, and very similar to what we just did, you cancel a square by square rooting it, like this. So my answer here would be y to the negative 1. The inverse is the square root of x plus 2. Also be advised, your teacher might call this like f negative 1 of x. That's also acceptable. I'm just using y because I told you switch x and y. It's the same thing though. F of x is y. Okay. Also, something to know regarding a root. There's always a number right here in the spot of a root. When it's just a square root, it's a hidden 2 by default. They just don't write the 2. So keep that in mind as well. All right, the next ones are rationals. Now, rationals are where they get kind of tricky. A number over an x, this kind of rational, isn't that bad. Let's go ahead and switch x and y. I'm going to do it off to the side here so I have a little more room. So switch x and y. All right, now with rationals, you're going to have to cross multiply most likely. So this is how I do this. Change x to be x over 1. Now cross multiply here. When I say cross multiply, multiply this and multiply that and then rewrite it. So x times y becomes xy. It equals -4 times 1 is -4, like that. Okay, now you're going to have to get y by itself. So you're going to divide by x here. So my y to -1, my inverse is just -4 over x. It's kind of weird because that's the original equation, but I'm going to trust my math there and move on. Okay, this last one though, it's kind of more difficult than the rest. Basically, start out by switching x and y. You have to switch both of them. Like that. Now I'm going to have to cross multiply here, so I'm going to go ahead and put this x over 1. When you cross multiply here, this x times y plus 2 part is going to look like this. You're going to have to do distribution there. Then the other side is just 1 times 2y minus 3, which will be 2y minus 3. All right, so you are here. Now, go ahead and distribute your x. So it's like xy plus 2x equals 2y minus 3. Okay, now I've got y's on both sides of this equation. So I'm going to move anything with a y to the right side. So this xy part, it's got to go. It's not a like term with anything. So now I can rewrite this problem. 2x equals 2y minus 3 minus xy. Okay, now anything that doesn't have a y has to go to the other side as well. So like this minus 3, it's got to go to this other side. So I'm going to add 3. There's no like terms there either. Okay, so now I'm at 2x plus 3 equals 2y minus xy. All right, the reason you want to get them both, everything with the y on the right side, or it doesn't matter, they could be on the left side. But the reason you want to get them all on one side is because you're going to GCF a y out here. So it's going to be like y parentheses 2 minus x. So this left side didn't change. And I GCF'd a y out of this right here. Now you can isolate y by just dividing by this 2 minus x part. And so when it's all said and done, this cancels and you're left with your y by itself. So you have your inverse and then whatever's over here is your answer. So 2x plus 3 over 2 minus x, like that. Those are a little more tricky. Basically, switch x, y. So that was the first step we did. Cross multiply. You'll have to distribute an x. After you do that, you want to get everything that has the letter y on one side. After you do that, get rid of anything that doesn't have the letter y. So move that minus 3 to the other side. And the reason you want to get everything with a y on one side is so that you can GCF a y out of it and isolate y. So I hope this video helped and didn't confuse you too much. Just remember, switch x and y and then solve for y equals, and you'll have the inverse.